The following program is brought to you by PodcastOne Sportsnet.
This episode of the Steve Austin Show is sponsored in part by DDP Yoga. Hey man, working countless matches over the years, ain't no surprise that Diamond Dallas Page's body has taken its share of bumps and bruises. Comes with the territory. But DDP also knows about the wear and tear, life in general, and working your ass off takes on your body. And his DDP Yoga Fitness System was specifically designed to burn fat, reduce pain, and heal from injuries, whether they come from the squared circle or everyday walks of life. Dallas is so positive that you'll absolutely love the DDPY program and using the DDPY app that he's doing something he ain't never done before. He's going to give you 7 days free to try it out. That's a week to try the program. Explore the app and own your life, and it's completely free. The DDP Yoga Now app has everything. It tracks your weight, all your workouts, how many calories you burned, and Dallas himself sets you up for weekly success by giving you an easy schedule to follow that includes his tips for success. If you're more old school and prefer DVDs over the DDPY app, they have the DVDs. But when you buy the DVDs, you still receive 3 months free on the DDPY app to try it out. Just for listeners of the Steve Austin Show, you can save 20% off an annual membership for the DDP Yoga Now app of any DVD pack. Just go to ddpyoga.com/Austin to get started. And don't forget to take advantage of the free 7-day trial on the DDPY app so you can see for yourself everything this app has to offer. You'll be amazed how much better you'll feel after only 7 days with the program. So what are you doing? Stop wasting time and download the DDP Yoga Now app and make this year the year you get serious about your health and get fit. Let DDP Yoga Now help you set your goals, take control, and own your life. And that's the bottom line because I said so.
The following program is a PodcastOne.com production. From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Now, here's Steve Austin.
All right, everybody, welcome to Steve Austin Show. I am coming to you from the state of Nevada where I'm out here visiting my in-laws. Holy smokes. I'm sitting here cutting open to this podcast, and right now the weather is sunny and clear. But there's about to be a storm blowed up through here, and it's supposed to snow on us. So we will see if my brother-in-law and I, we're going to jump on our four-wheelers tomorrow and ride our four-wheelers like the wind. My Kawasaki Brute Force 750 sitting in the garage. I kicked that thing over a while ago, started up first time, battery still in good shape. Man, that is an arm-straightening son of a gun. Badass. Looking forward to getting out there tomorrow. We may have to postpone that run, and we'll see what the weather does. But nonetheless, I'm having a good time out here in Nevada, man. A little bit different than being in Los Angeles. Man, Los Angeles has been about 65, 70 degrees last few days. And out here, man, with this storm blowing in, I think it's 35 outside. Tomorrow's going to get down to about 10 or 12. I'm going to freeze my ass off on that four-wheeler if we get out there. But I'll tell you what, getting out here in this, these mountains and all this air and this wind going on, it's like a breath of fresh air, no pun intended. But hell, man, that's what I'm planning on doing. But here's what I got for you today. I'm about to open up another can of audio whoop ass with Lisa Moretti, a.k.a. Ivory, a.k.a. Tina Ferrari, from her WWF and her Glow days. She's going into the 2018 Class Hall of Fame, WrestleMania 34 in New Orleans, Louisiana. Man, I couldn't be more proud of her. That's a badass woman that's paid a lot of dues and traveled down a lot of roads. She had a hell of a run in the business of pro wrestling, and she blazed a trail for others to follow as she followed the trails blazed before her and paid a lot of dues. And I tell you what, man, she was a dynamic entertainer back in her Glow days and was the same in her WWF/E days. She goes into the Hall of Fame, and it's very much deserved. Badass run from a real cool lady. It was great catching up with her and talking to her and shooting the breeze, and I think you're going to enjoy part 2 of this conversation. You know, doing these interviews on Skype, sometimes can be a little difficult. Sometimes we step on each other a little bit, and it's kind of discombobulating in the ear, but it was great to talk to Lisa. I'm looking forward to seeing her soon. If I get out to New Orleans, maybe I might get down there. I'm not making any promises. All of my Google alerts say I've already predicted I'm going to New Orleans. I have not predicted anything. I never know what I'm doing tomorrow. Hopefully I'm going on a four-wheeler ride. Nonetheless, back to Lisa. Man, badass chick. Real cool lady. We've always gotten along ever since I known her, and I've been watching her since 1986. So to see her go into the Hall of Fame is going to be absolutely awesome. Well-deserved once again. Hey, man. Me and my wife went out to dinner a while ago. Well, we went out to lunch, and we were sitting at a restaurant, and they sat us down. We ordered a couple of appetizers, and the waitress brought us some iced tea, and then about 5 minutes had passed by, and we were still sitting there, and we had a straw in our glasses of iced tea. And finally, the waitress came back to give us a refill on that iced tea. She filled up my wife's cup first, and then she was coming over to fill up my glass. And I was trying to do her a favor by moving the straw to the other side of the glass. When I grabbed that straw, I tipped that whole glass of iced tea. Well, it was about 3/4 full. She was just going to top me off. I spilled all that tea all over the table, right in my wife's lap, on her iPhone, and in her badass purse that she always carries around. God dang, she jumped out of her damn chair. She shot daggers through me with the look she gave me. She couldn't believe I spilled my iced tea all over her, let's say her leg region, and on her purse and her iPhone. Man, they sent a cleanup squad over there. There's a damn table of 10 right beside us. I was embarrassed as a son of a bitch. Shit, I was just trying to move my straw out of the way, tipped over the damn glass of iced tea, shit everywhere. Anyway, so we sit down, and the waitress brings us another glass of iced tea for my wife, and man, I bust out a Splenda packet. And you ever get one of those Splenda packets, and you kind of thump it with your finger to get all the Splenda and the bottom end of it? Man, I thumped that thing. As soon as I thumped it, it flew across the table and hit my wife right in the chest. Now, not only have I spilled my wife's iced tea all over the floor, made a mess, and on her lap, then I flicked my damn Splenda, hit her right in the chest. I got that going for me. And then I'm thinking, man, what the hell else can I do? I put my damn hand down on the table, flipped my knife and my fork up into the air and into the booth behind me. And this is a true story. So I don't know where to shit or wind my watch because I'm scared to move because I feel I'm going to knock something down or hurt somebody. It was a day of discombobulation. Finally, we made it out of there alive and had a pretty good meal. And I don't think my wife's going to want me to take her back anytime too soon. I was about to see if that waitress would bring me a booster chair and a bib because I was sitting there like a big-ass 250-pound baby, knocking shit all over the place. Anyway, we got through lunch, and I'm sitting there cutting it open this podcast, waiting for this storm to blow in, hoping I'm going to ride my four-wheeler tomorrow and get out of this little outskirts of Reno that he lives in and get out there on the trails. But if not, we'll make chicken salad out of chicken shit and do something. But anyway, I want to get into my conversation with Ivory, Lisa Moretti, and shoot the breeze with her. But before we get to Lisa, did you know that 66% of men start to lose their hair by the time they're 35? It happens so fast you barely have time to notice. The bottom line is men want to keep their hair and take care of themselves. Now, hassle-free prevention and solutions now exist with Hims. Hims is a wellness brand for the modern man, a one-stop shop for hair loss, skin care, and sexual wellness, making men's personal care trusted, easy, and affordable. Hims offers FDA-approved medical-grade products, personalized recommendations, plus convenient, confidential online consultation with a licensed doctor. There are no pharmacy lines, no waiting room. The products are shipped directly to your door. And Hims passes big savings along to you, offering prescription and generic for just a fraction of the price. Sound treatment and prevention backed by medicine and science. Look better, feel better, do better with Hims. For listeners of the Steve Austin Show, get a trial month of everything you need to keep your hair for just $5 while supplies last. This would cost you hundreds of dollars if you went to a doctor's office or a pharmacy. So what are you waiting for? Save some damn money and save your damn hair. Don't be like me. Save your hair. Just go to forhims.com/unleashed for all the details. That's forhims.com/unleashed. And stomp a mud hole in the hair loss and walk it dry. One more time. That's forhims.com/unleashed to get yourself a trial month for just $5.
Many of you listening to this are in your car right now. But do you love your car? If not, we want to help. I'm Todd.
I'm Paul, and we host the Everyday Driver Car Debate podcast.
We help listeners just like you find cars that are fun to drive and still fit their budgets and their needs.
Along the way, we discuss car news, we tell stories from filming cars for our TV and web shows, and we also answer audience questions from you.
So join us every Tuesday and Friday for the Everyday Driver Car Debate.
This is the Steve Austin Show.
Well, what was the one-off gig with WWF that you started talking about?
I got a call from, I was living in Los Feliz doing my 10 jobs. Let's see, Jimmy Cornette called me, and he was working for WWF, and he had got my number from Howard Brody, who worked with all ladies shows, AWA or something. So, and he was good friends with Luna. They go way back. So Howard gave him my number because they were looking for a girl that could look good in a dress and take a bump. And they needed her to show up in Phoenix for one of the WWF shows. So I said, well, sure, I can do that date. But at the time I was training, I was a Revlon trainer. And every once in a while they'd give me this, a season of gigs where I'd travel with all the stuff. And I'd teach a banquet room full of ladies from their stores about the new products and what's happening, right? So I got that gig. It was a good gig, but I had to be in San Francisco the next day. So I said, as long as I can bring my Revlon shit, I'll do the gig for you, and then I'll get on a plane that night because I got to teach the next morning in San Francisco. Sure. Yeah, cool. So I show up not knowing what the gig is, right? Talk about what, right? My motto is you guys say yes to have any fun in life. So I get on the plane with this is when you travel with a portfolio of all this stuff. Boxes of crap, right? And Brawler and Harvey show up to pick me up at the airport, and they're like, damn, she's got a lot of stuff. Right? So I was an odd duck from day one. So they bring me and all my Revlon shit to the arena, and now here I am back in the wrestling world, right? And it's huge. Miles of big fat cables running all over the place, trunks upon trunks, and wrestlers that all seem to be bad guys. It impressed me that everybody that walked by was either a devil or a werewolf or a vampire or dressed in black in one way or another. But it was certainly like things had changed a lot, and it was really exciting to be there. So I was shown to the ladies' locker room where I got hissed and sneered at. And it turned out...
Tell me about that. What happened?
Well, I have to say I turned into one of those too, where somebody new comes in and you look over your shoulder. Who the hell is that? And what's she doing in our locker room?
I love it.
It's like we really have anything to say about it. So I learned early on, on the car ride over to the arena that I was going to be posing as one of the Godfather hoes of the hoe train. So, I was like, okay, sure, I'm cool with that part, that'll be great. So when I came to the locker room, the girls, informed, Steve Lombardi that the hoes go dress in the bathroom. They don't come in our locker room. And he stood up for me. Actually, Luna stood up for me. And she said, she's a worker. She's not a hoe.
That's awesome.
And then it was Steve Lombardi that piped up at the pay table. And he said, she's a worker. Pay her like a worker, not a hoe.
Yeah, but isn't that cool? Because, man, God rest her soul. I didn't get a chance to know Luna that much, but, the conversation, she was super cool to me. We were really, I love talking with Luna. And if Luna vouches for somebody or if Luna says something, and that's pretty much the bottom line, you could probably back me up on that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So it was great to see her because the last time I had seen her was probably a decade prior, and she was thinner. She was a lot tinier. And then I bump into her here backstage at WWF at the time, and she was jacked, looked great, really. It was so great to see her. And then another weird thing happened backstage. Jan was doing, greasing up the guys in the makeup chair and slicking their hair back or doing whatever they needed her to do. And Scotty Too Hottie was in the chair, and he called me over and he said, hey, do you work at Universal Studios? And I said, yeah, I'm in a couple of the stunt shows over there. Cause I finally got on board doing Waterworld and the Wild, Wild, Wild West show. So I was on 2 shows, but I was, rock bottom, new kid. So I only worked a couple times a month unless somebody passed you their shift. But it turns out I was working. Now we were in Phoenix, so they must have been on the West Coast and up in LA. And he went to Universal Studios with his family and saw me at the Wild Wild West show perform. And he recognized me. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So we made that connection, and I just think that was the weirdest, most coincidental thing. So there was a nice familiarity feeling backstage, even though it was brand new to me. And of course, I had no idea what was going to transpire that night, but was willing to go for it and have some fun. So
how did that all go down? So you go down, you're part of the whole train. I mean, I got to go back and find that clip. But so what happened after that? Then that's when they said, "Hey, man, we want to bring this person on full time." How did that happen?
Yeah, I raced up actually right after the act happened, and Jackie Moore, she threw me out over the top rope and beat my ass down a little bit, and it was really fun. She did a great job, and all the hoes did a great job. And then I raced out of the arena to make the last flight out of Phoenix to get my ass up to Northern California to do my Revlon teaching. And so all my trunks came with me. I had my hoe dress on, underneath my big red jacket that I had over the top. Went to the airport, made my flight just barely, got to Oakland, I think it was, and none of my stuff made it. None of my luggage.
Oh, Jesus, that's a bummer.
So now I'm thinking, I got a hoe dress on, so how am I going to teach my class and be Miss Professional? So thank goodness the next morning it got there, and I changed my hoe dress into the professional clothes at a Staples. Remember Staples where you get all your copies done? So I was getting all ready for my class, and I changed in the bathroom, and I did my big class during the day. And then during that Northern California, Revlon tour of 3 or 4 days, JR called me and asked if I could put a little tape together to get Vince's approval on. So I did that when I got home, and he called me up and hired me. So yeah, it happened really fast. In fact, I had obligation to fill out the Revlon tour, and while I was on TV brand new to WWF, it started happening that in my classes of all women, they started tapping me on the shoulder after the day was over and saying, "Are you a wrestler?" So I was Miss Professional, but on TV at the same time, and they started making the connection.
Right.
That was kind of fun.
So what'd you think when you first rolled into the WWF landscape at the time? Because, help me out here. Who was writing then? Was it Vince Russo? Yeah,
Vince Russo was the writer. And, we had great storylines. Everything was wonderful and super. My, eyeballs were as big as saucers, just taking it all in. But on the same note, I was looking at what the girls were doing and wondering how I was going to fit in. So Sable was like, the big cat's meow. She was like, woo, hot to trot, beautiful, sexy, doing the sexy thing out there. And I was really afraid that someone would want me to do that because it's not really my cup of tea. I don't feel like I'm very good at it. So, even though I had not been in my boots for 10 years, I was hoping that they would require that I get into them and start tangling. So they did, thank God, and, handed me to Jackie Moore because she was really, her and Luna were the only ones, and Tori Pock actually too.
Yeah.
We had a small group then, and so, Deborah and her puppies chant was big because of Road Dogg. He got that going. Poor Jackie and Jackie Moore, we'd go out there and try to mix it up and have just a match with no story or anything. Nobody even knew who the good guy or the bad guy was. And they'd start doing the puppies chant. And God bless Jackie, because, I'd get really discouraged about that. And It was like, you watch the guys and they're really good. And, they got all their gimmicks down, and we'd go out there kind of not without no direction and no, there's no setup, right? So it's up to us to just, it's like singing a cappella.
Well, I mean, it's almost a cold match. But
yeah, it's a cold
working
match.
with Jackie, because, I knew Jackie from when I first broke in down in the Dallas days, and I knew how physical she was in the ring, and she could go.
Yeah.
And so how long did it take you and her to get together to really knock off your ring rust? Because when I first came into the WWF back in the day, I was coming from a tricep tear, and I was working with Savio Vega every single night. He's Puerto Rican. Puerto Ricans gonna get their shit in, and I was working heel, had to shine him up. Then I was still blowed up. I just lay in a rear chin lock for the heat, and then flip flop and fly for him for a comeback while I was sucking wind. And ain't nobody paying $20 to get inside an arena and watch for somebody to suck wind. So Salvio got me in shape. With respect to how physical Jackie was, she's in the Hall of Fame. What were you thinking? Hey man, this chick's going to get me ready real fast.
Oh yeah. Well, I think she was intending on doing that, and also welcoming me into the ring, into the WWF, in her own special way, as you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Tough. So I was kind of her punching bag for about 9 months, and I started to feel like, man, I don't even like this anymore. It hurts too much. And then people started nudging me, and the guys would say, hey, man, you got to put your foot down. And I put my foot down by saying that's not what wrestling is. Nobody wants to pay to see a real chick fight in the ring because it's ugly and it doesn't sell. So
how did that conversation go down?
Well, I never talked to her about it. I just persisted to, at first, early on, I always felt like, oh, it's got to be me because she's so talented. It's got to be me and my ring rust, and I'm not bringing it for her, And when we got off our tours, 10-day tours, I'd go down to Huntington Beach to Rick Bassman's gym, and I trained there. I would just drive myself down there for the 2 or 3 days we had off and get in the ring and let work with the little guys or just to try to get some mojo back. And I love Jackie because she lifted my spirits by telling me that the chanting going on during our matches, she said, we just have to train them different. And I'll never forget that. And it was true. It was up to us to swim upstream and make them want to see the action again. So we were kind of in there cold turkey trying to make that happen. And even Chyna one day, I remember coming back, we worked our asses off in the ring. We put a good match together and we came back, and I was really discouraged in the locker room because of that swimming upstream thing again. It's like we're just not getting anywhere with the fans. And then, you have that fear of if they piss on your match or they're just chanting puppies, that the company will go that route because that's what the fans are chanting for. And you don't want it to because you want to work.
Yeah, you're a worker.
You want to have action stories. You want to have something more on a wrestling show. You want to be part of the wrestling, not the other stuff. So Chyna, she gave me some words of encouragement that she said, you know what? You just need to shut up because you're here. That means you're good.
Well,
and I took that to heart. It was short and simple. But she said, don't beat yourself down because you're here, and they don't just let anybody work here.
Right.
So that was something I'll always remember as being encouraging.
When did they first approach you with the right to censor gimmick? And obviously they already probably knew you could talk a blue streak from your past stuff, the reel you sent them, and your personality. But when did they start just saying, hey, man, this lady can really work this gimmick and come up with that stuff for you guys? Because Vince Russo, I guess, was writing at the time.
Yeah, and the only direction Vince Russo ever gave me was just be a bitch. So that's what Ivory's, it was like they give you this name, you have no idea where it came from. And then that was about the gist of my direction. Just be a bitch, Ivory. Okay. Do my best. So, but the right to censor, Stephanie approached me with it. And she was real tentative about it. Oh, nobody's going to want to do this. She said, would you want to join the group? And I said, hell yeah. I was, waiting for something to sink my teeth into. So I was all in to be Miss Ivory of the RTC. it was great fun too.
I had a lot of people send me emails talking about y'all's entrance music because, like y'all were getting in the ways of a lot of good times and shenanigans because it was a right to censor. So y'all were shutting a lot of stuff down. But when that siren music or the noise started happening, I mean, it was an abrupt interrupt of everything. It's like, oh, holy shit, what is that noise going on? And there y'all will come marching down in your white shirts and your black pants, all, nice and tidy and businesslike.
Yeah.
How did that feel? You had your finger on the pulse and it was resonating.
Yeah, it was, being out there with the gang of guys, especially at house shows when you have a little more freedom to shoot from the hip. You have a little more freedom, a little more time to engage with the audience. It's more intimate, even though back then, right, we still had 20,000 every single night. Easy. 18, 20,000 every night. So it was really fun when you're out there with the gang because when they would cut their promos about why they saw the light, especially Godfather turning into the good father, and I could hardly keep a straight face. It was so funny. And then, but when I would go out by myself for TV events, especially with that outfit, it's all like you're tiny and you're all prim and proper and you're tight, wired tight. And I'd be so excited to go out the curtain, but then right before you go, you've just got to get the hate on. You got to turn into just spiteful hate. I hate everybody out there in the arena. And the minute you'd go out there, the whole place would boo and hiss you. And that was a great feeling.
It is a great feeling when you get that kind of response from either a love standpoint or a hate standpoint, whether you're heel or baby. But how was that for you from coming up in the Glow days? Because you were like this all-American, very articulate. Like I said, that scene where you go into the locker room and you change and you come up, kind of like the Power Ranger kick. And so you were out there with this athletic baby face. And your ring attire, I guess purple or lavender is your favorite color. And your outfit didn't leave a lot to be imagined, and then and when you would wrestle, with the tight black spandex on, you're a very nice looking athletic lady, then to go to the business attire. So how did it feel going from straight up baby face and, showing a lot of skin or stuff, and then going to the right to censor working heel, being all covered up and trying to achieve that state of hate that you just explained to me?
It was awesome just because it's your work, it's it's like every actor wants a good role. I love playing characters. So it was, and I always say, it's awesome to be a baby face and be over and be cheered and get a lot of stuffed animals sent to the locker room on your behalf. But really, you're caged. Anything you do, every night they want to see you do that same finisher. Every night you got to make them happy by doing the same stuff. Right? And when you're a heel, you are not constrained one bit. You can say what you want. You can laugh. You can hiss. You can just not even care. And you have freedom to express the bad guy any way you want. So that's a fun role to play. And hell, the outfit was really nice because, I don't know how the girls do it nowadays. I don't know who's making the great outfits on our show now. Cause back then it was just, we had one and a half, two sewing people, and they were busy working for Chyna and Undertaker and whoever needed something, top dogs, right? So you were like on your couple days off running around the Hollywood Strip looking at all the hoe clothes to try to see what you wouldn't fall out of that's snazzy enough looking and athletic enough looking, right? And that's what you wore in the ring. So, and of course, unlike Glow where you had your one look, WWF and WWE is like, hey, every night you gotta look different and hot. So when it turned out to just be a choice of do I wear the black and white or the white and black, it was really nice.
Yeah, but going back to what you're saying, you're so right. Being the baby face, it's Tina Ferrari. You can't be, on your way to the ring and trip and take a header. Now you, as part of the right to censor, were you to trip coming down the ramp? Hey, You can have egg on your face. There is that freedom. And as the baby face, everything, I mean, you can experiment and you can do things and you can be, a baby face with a lot of range, but there is that box that you kind of got to stay in. And as the heel, I agree with you 100%. I mean, anything is available. You can do whatever you want. There's way more freedom in being a heel.
Yeah, it's a great spot to be in. And everybody should have a chance to be a heel because it'll grow you as a babyface. I mean, look at you. You were the guy that could be both. They loved it when you were flipping them off.
But when did you first turn heel? Was that with Right to Censor? Because you were never.
I was always a heel. I was only a babyface at WWE when I came back from Tough Enough.
But you were a babyface all through Glow and Pow. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I came to WWF, they made me a heel right away. Slapping everybody, beating them over the head with the belt, and, cursing at the audience and just being mean to everybody.
Well, take me through the swing of coming to that first dressing room and all the girls thinking, oh, first of all, hoes don't dress here. They dress over there. And, okay, you're a worker. You are going to dress here. But it's got to be a catty environment, both with respect to the few female talent that were there. And then, when did Molly come in? Molly Holly?
Molly Holly came in. She was the first one to come in that started the new kind of diva, good group that we had.
Working group.
Yeah, working group. Because they weren't calling us divas quite yet. We were still the women's division. It was a women's division, then it turned diva. So she came in, probably pretty much right away, probably 2000, I would imagine.
Right. And then when did Trish come in? Was she before or after you?
Trish came in, I think, around 2000 also. So, yeah, I was there for a year. Because I remember, pretty much just wrestling against Jackie. And then Tori and I had a few bouts. Of course, we had the first ever women's hardcore match that was awesome and a great experience. And I watched that, now I'm seeing little clips floating around. I watched that the other night and it just made me laugh. It was just so, high strung, believable. Everybody was really committed to it. And that night, actually, Vince McMahon gave us a bonus. Can you believe it? Pretty special.
That is
the only time he gave me a bonus, but I thought that was pretty cool. Because part of the world of WWF also for me was how strange it was that you never quite knew how things worked.
With regards to what?
With regards to how do you get paid? I was embarking on buying property, and the banks want to know how much money do you make?
Yeah.
And I kind of didn't quite know. I didn't have paperwork to show that. I mean, you have a contract, but it wasn't like, the guys have these downside guarantees and all that. It was pretty ambiguous. And also, I remember asking Mark Henry, because he's so, easy to approach and such a nice guy. And I said, so, what happens if you get hurt here? What happens if you get a broken leg or something and you can't work? He says, oh, well, if they like you, they'll take care of you. So it was definitely a pioneering kind of a world. So, and from the background I came from, even though it was Glow and LPWA and POW, I was still always taught that, you don't say no in wrestling. You say, yeah, how can we make that work? But you don't say, no, I don't do that move. No, I won't take that move. No, I won't do that trick. You say yes, and you shut up and you learn. So that's where I was coming from. So, when they decided that Terry Reynolds was going to burn my face with her hot cigar, I said, and how are we going to make that work?
You're pretty damn smart.
And I just wound up with a nice scar on my cheek for a couple weeks. That's okay. It didn't hurt that bad. And yeah, that was real. But anyway, it was the world was a whole different ball of wax, but it was happening and happening fast. Jackie and I had matches. We had the hardcore matches. We had 3 of them, actually, that I was perusing the WWE website, and it wasn't even listed on there. They had first women's hardcore match. Our 3 just weren't even mentioned. So we got to make sure somebody knows about that.
You were the WWE Women's Champion on 3 different occasions. What did you think when they approached you and said, "Hey, we're gonna put the belt on you"?
I just thought it was again something like our photo shoot for Entertainment Weekly. They just come and ask you to do something. You say, "Sure, okay," but I didn't certainly think it was anything that I earned. It was just, hey, the storyline has to go here. They're going to put the strap on me, and we'll see what they ask me to do with it. So we didn't have a whole lot of girls to fight and have big angles, but I got to take down some old ladies, Mae and Moolah.
That was a great segment, though, especially when you came down the ramp and you had that broomstick. Jesus Christ, you were vicious to them. Well, how cool and tough were those ladies?
So cool. And they taught me a lot in the short amount of time I got to work with them. Moolah she told me right before going out the curtain, she'd say, because they always cut the girls' time, always. And she nods her head when they cut us down from, 7 minutes to 4 minutes. She nods her head, and then she looks at me and goes, "Ivory, it's live TV. You can do whatever we want."
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so they were very giving and quite the pranksters. I remember when I think Mae Young was going to do that, Bronco Billy thing on Lawler in the turnbuckle.
Yeah.
And she was in the bathroom stuffing sardines in her crotch pants for Jerry Lawler. Yeah. So he get a fishy smell down there.
Oh, yeah, my God. That's great.
And can you imagine Mae Young back in the day when you weren't supposed to show your ankles, right? And she had tattoos. She smoked cigars, probably drank with the boys, and she's wrestling in, a one piece. Those are the pioneers right there. Yeah, those guys were so impressive.
What were your thoughts? Were you seeing a transition in the women's division, or what were your thoughts when they started calling you guys divas? Because you're the tomboy, you're the athletic tomboy. I was reading an article that you sent me, and you're almost the anti-diva, really.
Yeah, well, I guess it just depends on what you look at as a diva. And I understand that it's packaging and it's a neat, it's neat to put a name on what the girls are. But the only thing we had it seemed to me they were making us Sports Illustrated models, instead of women who wrestle on a wrestling program. So, it's worked for the company. But, I think it was a big part of what made it okay for me when I left was that it was getting harder and harder for me to talk really great about our product because they had gotten rid of all the wrestlers, the women workers, and replaced that segment of our shows with, pieces that were just really embarrassing to women. And nothing against the women that were trying out to be divas, but it was that, watching them get canned in front of everybody on TV, all the audience voting them off with their cell phones and votes, like The Voice or any of those shows. But it was just kind of not based on really expressing their talents. It was just their looks only. And then we made them do those stupid relays, and it was just really demeaning and didn't have anything to do with wrestling.
Yeah.
Make a different reality show about that, but don't put it on our show. So it got to me where it got hard for me to put it over when I was doing WWE Experience or anything,
So then what were you thinking? Like, hey, man, I need to get out of here? Or what was the writing on the wall? You'd had enough? What was up? Because you were still young.
Yeah, I was kind of I had a really good gig they signed me on to be like an actual employee with the studio, and they were turning me into a talking head. And I loved working with, the team and all the studio people. super creative people, but I was disgruntled because there was still some good action to be had back in the ring. And I wanted to be in my boots and not be a talking head when I had the best gig in the world. I mean, come on. They fly you out of your hometown. You work one day. You get picked up at the airport. You're like Jonathan Coachman now. The easy street. They set you up in a nice hotel in New York. Someone delivers you SmackDown so you can talk about it. You watch it on your computer. That's your homework. Big whoop. And then you get dressed up. A makeup artist comes to your room. I'd do my own makeup and Jill would just have coffee and read the newspaper. And then, you go do the show someplace. It's lickety split, easy, fun. And then you get on the airplane, come home. And you're getting paid, kind of the same as what you pay on the road. So it was such an easy gig, but I'm not very good at, accepting great opportunities right away. I was still kind of pissed that I wasn't in the ring and.
Yeah, but sometimes when you still have the work in your blood and it's not out yet, and like you said, they put you in that gig, and now looking back, hey man, that was a sweet gig. But when you still got wrestling in your blood, it's not a good gig because you want to wrestle.
Yeah, and when I was working the Tough Enough gigs, because I loved working the Tough Enough 2 and Tough Enough 3. I loved that gig because you could land. You landed in a place, you got in a little apartment. You go on training every day. You're meeting these young kids that are so inspired and they really want to work hard. So you're around this really cool scene. But again, you're watching our show and you're like, damn, those girls are having fun in there. Damn, I want to do that again. And I got a little piece of it when I came back, and my wrestling had changed a lot between these big windows of time where they weren't doing anything with me, and they'd send you down to Ohio Valley Wrestling, and I'm not going to train you guys. I'm going to get some training. So we just get in there and drill. And it was the first, real training I ever had was the drills and working with all the kids. So when I came back on the scene, I was a babyface and had a real short little tidbit of a run with Jazz because she was the title holder at the time. And she was a badass. And they made, Fit Finley really just, really was driving her to be just a mean badass in there. She was pulling it off real believable. So they were starting to prime an angle with us. And then she had an injury that was just real persistent and it wasn't going away. And she was going to need to rest it. So it just went away. The angle went away. So that's one of those little, those little regrets that you wish you could have seen that through because it would have been fun to be a baby face, try that out. And work with Jazz would have been so awesome. All
right, let's take a quick pause for the calls and give big ups to TrueCar. Now, if you're looking to buy a car, you're probably familiar with terms like MSRP. You might even know what it stands for. But what does it actually mean? The same goes for invoice, list price, dealer price. It's enough to confuse anybody. All you're really looking for is a price that actually means something. Introducing True Price from TrueCar. Now you can know exactly what you'll pay for the car you want, including fees and accessories, before you even get to the dealership. TrueCar dealers will show you the true price on cars like the one you want, all from the comfort of home. And how do you know if your true price is a great price? Well, because TrueCar shows you what other people paid for the same car you want. And your certified dealers know this, so they set their true price competitively so they can win your business. So when you're ready to buy a new or used car, visit TrueCar to enjoy a more confident car buying experience. Some features not available in all states. You're also going to need car insurance for that new vehicle. Go to geico.com, and in 15 minutes you could be saving 15% or more on car insurance. That's right. Save hundreds of dollars on car insurance at geico.com. Extra money in your pocket? It may just be the most rewarding thing you do today.
Hi, this is Eric Bigger from The Bachelorette, here to tell you about my new show, Bigger Talks, exclusively on PodcastOne. Every week, I will be here with my guests, taking a deeper look into subcultures of American life, from relationships to race to gender to sexuality. We're highlighting the strength of diversity. So please join me every Wednesday for Bigger Talks with me, Eric Bigger, right here on Podcast One. Download and listen to new episodes exclusively at PodcastOne.com, the new Podcast One app, or subscribe on Apple Podcasts.
Before we get to the rest of my interview with Lisa Moretti, here are some words from our sponsor. Flap, pustule, jowls, nugget, gurgle, smear, curd, bulbous, tender, dongle, pork, moist. Hey, whether you're a construction worker, warehouse worker, or even a podcast host, if you hear certain words on a job site, it can make work uncomfortable. So at least get work gear that's comfortable. Timberland Pro, work shirts, pants, and boots, head to toe. Timberland Pro, not uncomfortable.
This is the Steve Austin Show.
But how do you like, the Tough Enough gig, which you liked? Because I enjoyed my run. I guess that was 2011, so many years ago now. It was just so fun because people always ask me on my email, hey, you ever going to open up a wrestling school? No, I'm not. But when I got a chance to be a part of Tough Enough, I mean, really, I don't know how you guys did it back then, but I was not wearing an earbud. They didn't tell me what to do. They didn't tell me what to say. They said, Bill DeMott was the guy, and we had, Trish, Booker T, and Bill, and then myself. And it was really like a shoot. I mean, we know wrestling can work, but I mean, Tough Enough was a shoot. We just went in there, and there weren't no retakes. It was all organic. It was on the spot, on the fly, and totally ad-libbed. I loved it. And, of course, then it disappeared. How did you like that world? Because I always like talking to the WWE superstars when I go to a show or, to offer a bit of advice. And here you're specifically trying to teach them. So I really enjoyed that experience. How was it for you after learning everything that you did, all on the road, starving and Glow or paying your dues in Glow, getting taught by Mondo all these years later, and you're trying to share some information with these kids?
It was just great. I loved it. And the first year was really fun because we had Chavo, Al Snow, and Hardcore Holly, and me. And I think our team had a lot of chemistry. Bob Holly, we had our bad guy. We had our tough, going to kick the shit out of you if you're not listening. And then Chavo was a little more delicate, and he could explain things really well. And Al, of course, was like the dad. They all trusted Al, and he was a good little prankster guy and kept it fun and funny and sincere. And then I was the girl, that could look after the women in there. And it was just a really good time. That was in Marina Del Rey, is where we set up shop. In El Segundo, we had a ring out there. And then the second time around was Bill DeMott came on board. And we had, who else? Bill and Al, and maybe that was it, the three of us. I think it was the three of us. I guess the main thing getting used to that gig was wearing a mic all the time. It's like the reality show thing, right? Is you always got your pack on, right? And then so when you're gossiping about each other, you're always like, shit, was my mic on?
Kayfabe.
Who heard that? Damn. You gotta remember to unplug yourself, But I love the kids, and I had a little tough time transitioning back to working on the house shows because I came in and I was, I think, part of the SmackDown group or something. And we had I was with Stacy and Tori on the house shows doing the old, I'm not going to take my robe off for a bikini showdown. And I just come from doing Tough Enough. It's on the air. And you're experiencing all these kids wanting to lay their lives on the line to learn how to work. And then I got to cower to Stacy and Tori. I got to get beat up by these guys. And, they're like, Tess was dating Stacy at the time. And I'd tell him, I'd like, damn, man, teach your girl how to punch or something. I mean, there's no excuse why we should not be training them because they're both athletic and they both want to learn. But somebody can somebody rise to the occasion and let them know how to throw a punch? Because I'd kind of like to be in the ring with somebody that's beating me up for real.
Yeah.
So that was tough. But so that, and I always take fault for not being able to go with the flow better. But I think it's because I'm passionate about putting on a good show. And when someone's rearing back to lay a punch on me and it looks like shit to me, I know it looks like shit to everybody else.
Right.
And that bothers me. I want our stuff to look really good, you know? So anyway, that was a kind of tough little transitions. I got to do a lot of stuff at WWE, and I did it and always enjoyed myself. But really, my heart was always wanting to get in the ring and have great matches.
When you look back now, and it's 2018 as we're having this conversation, you're going into the WWE Hall of Fame at WrestleMania 34. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you. And you look at what you're doing back in 85, 86, all through the glow days, and then a little bit of a dry period coming out of POWW, Powerful Women of Wrestling, LPWA, AWA, then finally WWF, some stuff on the side. Just the evolution of the business, and now the women aren't divas anymore. They're WWE superstars, and hell, women are main event and pay-per-views and Monday Night Raws. I mean, you're a big part of that. You were one of the women that paved the way for the women today, and to see where the business is at now for the women. How do you feel about that?
I'm glad that women are still coming out to the ring, and there's still a few of us out there that want to do wrestling, and they're actually taking the hard knocks and signing up to some local school or some tribe where they can travel around and pick up some tips and keep on doing it. Because what I learned in Tough Enough, and I brought this back to our locker room at the time, was that when you see all the scads of girls trying out for this reality TV show that can't even, jump back and forth over a heavy bag, and the guys too, some of them are so out of shape, that you go back to the locker room where, sometimes you are made to feel like, hey, you're replaceable. You guys are dime a dozen. And I was there to tell them, you are not dime a dozen. Everybody in this room is really special because you can do what you can do. You put up with it, you take your craft seriously, and you deliver. And there's not a lot of girls that can do this. So I'm just glad that, it's so glad. When I watch women wrestle and really do it well in some of the indie shows I've been to and stuff, I really do. My eyes water. I welt up and I really get emotional about how great it is. Women that can embrace their athleticism, and especially the women that are all shapes and sizes. I love seeing that part of stories told where you got the big girl against the little, bad girl, the little gnat, the little bothersome insect. There's just great stories to be told with different body types. And we have that at WWE right now. We have all sizes and shapes and really good, strong contenders. And it makes me feel really good. I love watching the girls on the show now.
I do too, because there was that awkward period, or the period you were speaking about earlier. Yeah. It's like, come on, man, it could, because hell, I was a big fan of Wendy Richter, Sherry Martel, way back in the day, and then it kind of turned into that weird stuff you were talking about. Now it's like, I love to watch the women wrestle, but I want to watch great wrestling, and they got some great gals out there that are really kicking ass.
And you know what amazes me now too and I think this happens just in evolution, is that what the girls do now, and the guys too, but the girls, that somehow they make it look easy. The costuming is awesome. They all look super hot. Their bodies are hot. Their wrestling is great. And on the side, they're doing a whole reality show of, the Divas show. I'm like, how are they doing it? When are they all like nervous and out of their sorts of trying to figure out what they're going to do with finishing moves and, just the work? I just remember that being all encompassing, like worrisome and, challenging, and you never feel like you're as good as you want to be, and where's it going from here? And those guys make it look easy.
They're working their asses off. I got a chance. I was at the 25th anniversary of Raw up there in Brooklyn. I've known, Brie and Nikki Bella for, I don't know, several years, but I've never got a chance to just stand around and talk to them. Of course, we were at the building all day, so I had many hours to kill. And man, we're just standing there on stage, and they came by. We started shooting the breeze, and man, we talked for about 30 minutes. And man, I had so much fun talking to those girls, and they were telling about all the different shoots, Jesus Christ, Nikki had the neck surgery, Bree has the baby. I mean, juggling, all the shoots, staying on the road, or being a mom. Yeah. It was so fun talking to them. But man, all those women are super, super busy, and I think it's badass.
Yeah. Well, they are doing a great job with it because, like I said, they make it look like, let me just put my gear on, my fabulous, flashy, awesome gear, and strut out to the ring and just do this great match like that. Easy. They make it look easy, and I know it's not. So they're doing an awesome job.
Hey, when I was first talking to you on the episode on Tuesday, we talked a lot about Glow, but I never really got into the Netflix series. And I haven't watched the Netflix series yet because I heard, it was going to come out like everybody in the world did. And I was like, man, I don't know if I want to watch it or not because I have my memories of Glow and I don't want them changed. I don't want them altered. I remember the first time I went and saw The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke many years ago. I had the flu. I went to a theater in Santa Monica. It was just me and about 8 other people on a daytime showing. And I didn't like the movie because I thought it was supposed to apply to me, and I didn't experience that part of wrestling. So at first I shit all over The Wrestler, but then, of course, I loved it because I now understand what the story was. But with Glow, I want your opinion of the Netflix series. I have not seen it for those reasons. I'm going to watch it, but tell me what you thought about it and your feelings when they brought it back or when they purchased the rights from Ursula and made this series.
Well, I think that, again, you got these very masterful writers and producers and directors behind it. And they have done a great job of taking what they know, what sells, what makes a good show, making it their own, and then mixing it in with what really was our experience. And I think that it's so great to take the 80s and put them on television or, streaming. The 80s was a kooky, weird-ass time. Freaky, weird music, horrible wardrobe. I mean, the styles then were just gross. But, man, we all lived it. And they put that flavor throughout the show. The cars, the architecture, the apartments and where the girls live and stuff. It's all there. And it really, I love that part of it, that they put that period together. And, parts of it I think they did a really good job of combining what we went through and then making it, a story that can persevere in storytelling through several seasons. And I think they're embarking on their second season now. They're shooting their second season if they're not already done with it.
I was reading that some of the women from Glow kind of felt slighted that maybe they weren't asked for their advice or some input or this, that, or whatever for various reasons because I felt they felt they should have been consulted. But, as you know, when these things take a life of their own, if someone's got the rights, they're going to watch the original and they're going to write their own. So how did you feel about that?
Well, I think I would make the same decision if I was the writer and the director. You got enough information out there just watching stuff on YouTube and meeting Ursula, I'm sure, that, you want to make it your own. So you take the period, you take all women wrestling, you got great characters. They made up great characters. And I especially liked, there was a segment, since you haven't seen it, I'll just explain it.
Yeah.
Where one of the girls on the show actually does have brothers and a dad that are wrestlers. So she takes one of the other girls who is a prime pick. They want her in the show because she's got a soap opera background. So she's kind of famous but not working anymore. So they want to make her into a wrestler, but she's resisting it. So this one girl brings her to the family wrestling ring in their backyard. And the boys are trying to teach this girl how to jump off the top turnbuckle. And so, when you have never fallen down in your whole life on purpose, it's met with lots of trepidation. So they showed that. in this scene really well, where they take these little tiny bumps and then they get better and better and more brave at doing it more courageously until finally they kind of get it. And the show, of course, like every show, you know, they learn wrestling like in 2 seconds.
Right.
They get good at it really fast, which is kind of not true, but you know. And the characters, the way they find their characters is really fun and fun to watch too. So they did a great job.
I think Mark Maron's in it, right? Is he Matt Sember?
Yeah, well, I guess they have 2 very offsetting men in the show, which would emulate David McLean. But again, they don't make them like those guys. They just take how different they were. You know, they were so totally different, but added to the weirdness of our whole experience. So they did that well too. They have a young guy and they have the director guy, and the director guy is, you know, his own character and his own head case, which makes him interesting.
So do you recommend I watch it?
Yeah, I binge watched it the first season in 2 sittings.
Wow. And
it's like any series. It takes you a couple episodes to start, you know, really getting into it. So, but yeah, I thought it was good. And I'm really happy, and surprised that so many people like it. It's been really well received. So there must be some kind of thing going on with our culture where they were ready for it.
All right, if you're going to give it a thumbs up, I'm going to watch it. I just had to, I think I'm on season 3 of Narcos, and it's so crazy and chaotic. I can't follow the writing, and I'm caught up on Walking Dead. I'm waiting for the next episode to drop. All right, so I'm probably going to binge watch Glow. I never thought I'd binge watch anything. Man, when you're backed up on The Walking Dead or Breaking Bad or whatever. So, yeah, I think I could probably binge watch Glow in like 3 days.
Yeah, easy. Well, Narcos got a double thumbs up on that one. I loved that.
Yeah, but did you get through season 3?
No.
Yeah, well, that I think it's season 3. I think
I thought they only had like 2.
Oh, it's 2. Okay, I'm on season 2. I have too many steel chairs to the head.
I watched the whole thing. I was hooked.
It's the Cali Cartel. They just took they got Gilberto. It's the episode after that, and I'm like so lost. I'm like, man, you're killing me. You're killing me because the first one was so good. I'm going to try to hang with it and keep it going. But anyway, so then I'm going to watch Glow, and I'm going to call you back. You're going into the Hall of Fame. It means the world to you. Tell me about this preparation for your speech. You just sent me this article that you wrote. It's, I don't know how many words long. You have the gift of gab.
Journalism.
You're public relations. Yes, you got that major going for you. So you're going to crush this, kid.
Well, I hope so. Shoot. It's a big moment. You don't want to mess it up. I want to enjoy it too. So that's something I've learned from doing a little dabbling in community theater here on the island. And I dabble in it any chance I get. I got to turn my meatloaf off, so I'm walking into the kitchen here.
Are you thinking about, you don't have to give me an answer here, but are you thinking about who's going to induct you?
Oh, yeah. I'm giving it a lot of thought. In fact, I put it out on Twitter to see who the fans would like to see induct me. And I've gotten some really cool answers. But yeah, I got somebody in line already.
Beautiful.
And yeah, I'm going to do my best to not bore anybody with a speech that's way too long, because the night does get very long. And I've got some good ideas already. So I want to try to get the speech prepared so that you can really get comfortable with your ideas, so that you're not reading something. You can just say it, but stay on point so that you don't blabber. That's my intention. I learned in the theater that every time you add something new, your performance gets thrown off whack. So that's why they have things called dress rehearsal. So you put a different pair of shoes on and all of a sudden you can't remember your lines, you know? So I just want to get all that shit taken care of so that you can be in the moment, and whatever swerve comes, you know, if they want to, you know, bring the right to censor out, great, bring it on, and we'll just have fun with it. So I'm trying to get that speech written in the next, 3 weeks or so.
You gonna get emotional up there and start crying?
Who knows? Heck, I hope so.
Hey, I'm looking at you right now in the video scope, as Randy Savage would say. I asked you about this. I think it was off camera. All these years, I mean, you look great. I know you're still in shape. Are you feeling any pain? Did all the wear and tear, the bumps and bruises, any of that catch up with you? How are you feeling?
I feel pretty good as long as I keep moving. I think if I had to sit down for a job, I would feel all tense in my neck and stuff. But my life is outdoorsy. I'm moving all the time. You know, my job is kind of physical, working with the dogs. So I think as long as I keep moving, then I'll stay ahead of it. And I'm not, I'm one American that can say I do not visit the drugstore. I haven't spent money on a prescription for I don't know how long, like forever. And that's like, I want that like claim to fame. You know, that's important. No prescription drugs.
Hey, one thing I wanted to clear up, because we were talking before we started doing the podcast, and I was on your Wikipedia page, and I just found out that you were a Los Angeles Express cheerleader, and you're like, I was never in the landscaping business. You were so resolute about that. So clear up that misconception, because God dang it, I don't want you to leave out of here with people thinking you're in the landscape business if you don't want them to think you're in the landscape business.
I hate digging holes in the garden. And spending money to put something in the hole, and then what grows around it? A bunch of freaking weeds that you gotta dig holes and pull out. And then you get a pile of weeds, you gotta move that shit over to a burn pile, and then you gotta spend time burning it in your driveway. Damn, not a landscaper. I don't like it.
She's
But
into animals and dogs, and that's what she does. She's not into landscaping. And you just joined Twitter. How's your Twitter experience been? And I forgot to ask you on the last podcast, you got to give everybody your Twitter handle so they can follow you on social media and your Instagram account.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a whole other new ball game, is the social media for me. I just started, a week ago today, last Monday, I did my first tweet, and I put my first Instagram pictures up. And, this stuff's fun, but it takes time. It's really been fun. And I definitely wanted to get in touch with everybody, because I didn't want to show up with this big event with all of my coworkers and all the new faces that I have yet to meet, all the fans, all the glory, and then just, come in and leave. I wanted to experience it from the minute I got the word with the fans, because I know they know how to get me excited. So that's why I was reaching out, and it's working. I'm watching so many fun clips they send and photos, and then that makes me go back to my stuff and find old stuff and share it. So it's been really a great experience. But between Twitter, Instagram, I haven't even got like a Facebook page up yet. I have an old one that I don't use. How are you going to go to Wikipedia then, on top of all that, and edit your information that, they got me way too tall and way too fat and a landscaper, and I think I've been married a couple times. I can't keep up with all of it.
So what's your Twitter handle, damn it?
My Twitter handle is Moretti Ivory. And on Instagram, it's Lisa Moretti Official. And I'm going to have a website, too, so that I can kind of streamline requests for, if someone has a magazine they want signed, or I hate to tell you, but truthfully, it all goes in a big box right now, because I don't have the time to get back to people. So that has made me feel guilty for all these years. I'd like to, something comes in the mail, I want to be able to get it back to the person it belongs to without me having to lick stamps and feel like it's one more thing to do.
But you know what? It's nice when I first started talking to you again after all these years to finally meet somebody who's in my age range that is further behind the technology curve than I am as far as social media and all that bullshit goes, because I'm the worst. And finally, I found someone you got to catch me. So yeah. I can't believe that I'm ahead of you in that regard, because man, I'm so old school.
I was blown away when you said, "Oh yeah, I've been on it for 7 years." I'm like, "Oh my God, 7 years to my 7 days."
Jesus Christ! But hey, better late than never, kid.
Yeah, and you know what? I've been in touch with Mick Foley and via Twitter, and we're all going to get together at the next autograph signing, because him and Nora, Molly Holly, and myself will be at the big event in Queens, middle March 10th. So we're kind of through the Twitter thing. We're hooking up together. We're going to go have lunch and catch up and stuff. So it has been a really neat thing to get me reconnected with friends.
Man, that's a pretty cool thing, because every now and then I'll be watching a video and my wife will say, "Why are you watching that?" And I'm like, "Some fan sent it to me." And man, I'll watch so many things like, well, hell, the angle I did with Molly Holly and Spike Dudley, where she slaps me in the ring because I was calling her a bimbo. And then me and Spike have the championship match, and they tore up my petition for the triple threat match between myself, Chris Jericho, and Chris Benoit. And I was trying to get out of that.
Oh,
so these
yeah,
people,
right.
So many of these things that I forgot I did, and they'll send them to me. So, yeah, the social media thing is really, really cool, because, hell, I forgot half the shit I did. And when I get reminded of it, I sit there and watched all those segments probably 10 times each, and I loved them.
Yeah, I know. It's entertaining, isn't it? There's something, I remember sitting on an airplane going to one of our towns, you know, and this businessman was next to me, and he asked me what I did for a living. So I told him about the wrestling, and I said, you know, I look at people like my sister. She's a teacher, you know, and she works with little kids, 2nd and 3rd graders. And when she walks through town, she meets all these teenagers and people that remember her when she was a teacher. And she does something so important. And I don't do anything important. You know, I fall down for a living. I make people laugh, you know, or whatever. I was kind of feeling a little down about what my purpose was. And he said, "Hey, I'm here to tell you that what you do is real important to the rest of us." And he wasn't a wrestling fan. He said, people, you know, they have hard lives. And when they finally sit down and they can tune on some kind of entertainment that they like, and I know there's a lot of wrestling fans out there, you bring them out of their doldrum. You bring them into some other place that they can enjoy and laugh and feel what you're doing. And that's really important. So he made me feel good about my job. And now, like you're saying, later on, when you watch these clips, you're like, God, this stuff's entertaining. This is so fun to watch.
And I have fun doing that. But then on one hand, I enjoy it. But then I think, oh, man, if I could do that again, I'd do it different. But that's me being a nitpicky person that I am. But so you got the appearance on March 10th. Is there anything else you want to push, promote, or bring awareness to?
No, not really. Just, you know, be nice to your animals and go walk your damn dogs.
And get them spayed or neutered.
Yeah. Definitely. Spay and neuter. Let's not make any more of them. But, yeah, that's my big push in life. Big push, Steve. It's a big push.
Big push.
You know, get out there and walk your dog. Let them run. We got all these caged animals all over the place. So if you own one, honor the fact that they're creatures and they got to run.
You got to give them
and
some
then do a little running yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, it was awesome talking to you. If I get down to New Orleans, we'll have to have a cold one together to celebrate all these years.
Absolutely. And it's been really great to see you and on Skype here and talk with you. And thanks for hearing me out. Thanks for your time, Steve.
Oh, thank you. I enjoyed watching you way back from the days of 1986, following you. I was talking with you, shooting the breeze back here in the hallways in WWF. And now the women's game has spun up, and you were there paving the way for a lot of these young ladies today. So awesome.
Well, I'm just proud to be part of it. That's all.
And that's the bottom line, because I said so. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Hey, this is Jordan Harbinger. I used to host the Art of Charm podcast, but now it's time for something new. The Jordan Harbinger Show. Did you know you can be entertained and actually get a boost in your life at the same time? On this show, we dig into the superpowers of the world's most interesting thinkers and top talents. Then we deliver them to you right into your ears. But I get it. We're not all superheroes. That's why we give you their blueprint so you can live what you listen. After 1,000 interviews, learning 5 languages, and getting arrested in a country that doesn't even exist anymore, I'm now more ready than ever to introduce you to The Jordan Harbinger Show. Listen free to The Jordan Harbinger Show. Available on Apple Podcasts, PodcastOne.com, and the Podcast One app.
All right, everybody, give me the go-home cue. So I'm going to wrap this podcast up and ride off in sunset. But before I do that, I want to thank my guest, Lisa Moretti, for being on podcast once again. It's great catching up with her. Congratulations on your Hall of Fame run in the WWF and the totality of your career with Glow and everything else. You made it, kid. Congratulations. Man, I tell you what, ProWrestlingTees.com/Steve Austin has all my shirts for Broken Skull Ranch. And the best damn IPA on the planet is Broken Skull IPA from El Segundo Brewing Company, which you can get at Whole Foods and Total Wines. If you live in Cali, if you don't live in Cali, check InsideTheCellar.com and see if they ship to your state. And I highly suggest you always carry a pocket knife because you never know what you're going to run into. Need to cut up a box or open a can of something, or cut a string, piece of rope, or save your ass? Check out the Cold Steel Broken Skull knife and the new Working Man knife, and you can get them at my new Amazon store. Amazon has the best price on both knives. Just go to Amazon.com/shop/Steve Austin for a badass pocket knife. Got to say one more thank you to all the fine sponsors of the Steve Austin Show. It's how I'm able to do this podcast for you twice a week for free. And you can find all my sponsors at PodcastOne.com. Just click on the Killer Deals button at the top of the page, and then click on the Steve Austin Show banner. Speaking of Podcast One, the new Podcast One app is now available for download at the App Store or Google Play. There ain't another single podcast app like this one anywhere, and that's because the new Podcast One app is loaded with some cool-ass features that let you do a lot more than just listen to your favorite shows. You can access behind-the-scenes photos, articles, and connect with other fans of the shows you like. Watch over 1,000 360 virtual reality videos. You can actually watch some of your favorite shows in virtual reality. It's like you're sitting right in the same room with them. So get to the App Store or Google Play and download the new Podcast One app now. Folks, I am on social media. If you want to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, my handle is @SteveAustinBSR. Folks, until next time, my name is Steve Austin, and I will catch your ass down the road.
This has been a Podcast One production. Download new episodes of The Steve Austin Show every Tuesday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.